Hey guys, I'm doing my project on why do people use and abuse drugs. I want to start off with the whole idea and concept of who says no to a good time. I think all of us or someone we know has been in a situation where they've been invited to something and they've said no either because they're being responsible, they have something to do, or they just don't want to participate in that. And their friend or something may be like, oh, you're such a party pooper, like you're not gonna come, this is like you suck type of thing, and they'll make you feel bad. The whole point of this is that people can have a good, even great time without using any sort of substances and turning towards natural highs instead. I want to talk about the 4 types of drug use. There's legal instrumental use, which is like over-the-counter or prescription medication that is prescribed to you, totally legal. I want to talk about the second one is legal recreational drug use, which is like alcohol, tobacco, things like that you can purchase, and it is totally legal if you're of age. The third one is illegal instrumental use, which is using like prescription drugs and things that aren't prescribed to you. And then illegal recreational use is the last one, and that's using like marijuana, meth, cocaine, anything that's like definitely illegal. The second part, content-wise, I want to talk about is the reasons that people use. There was many of them in the book listed, but I just picked the ones that I thought were most pertainable to us as college students. Those would be to avoid uncomfortable feelings, as a rite of passage people use, to experiment, to fit in, to deal with responsibilities and stresses, and to rebel. All of these I think fit like with some people sometimes, like especially in the party setting. Like people feel like they have to do things. Not that they have to, but like you should be doing this to fit in, and you're a college student, like this is your time to do these things and experiment and whatever. So I think in the back of everyone's mind, like some of those always lie there when you're using new substances or anything like that. The third thing is maturity level and stages of life. This is listed in the book more as like what happens after you choose to use. People may start using any sort of substances in one stage of life because they're unhappy with where they are or whatever in their mental state. And it talks about in the book how like you can't necessarily move forward to your next stage unless you choose that you want better for yourself. And so it's a big thing, like if you get stuck in that stage and you're stuck using drugs and in this unhappy state, you can't really better yourself for your future, So that kind of, I think, leads into like the application of how this applies to us as people. And I wanted each of you to ask yourselves, why do you use drugs, or why might you use alcohol or any sort of substances, and like what is within you that made you make that choice, or what are you trying to, it's hard to really decipher sometimes why you're doing it, but I think it's important that we find that reason. And I wanted you to ask yourself, is my why different in different situations and with different substances? Like you might use alcohol for whatever reason, but like you're using marijuana for a totally different reason and all of this stuff. And I think it's very important to decipher those things so that you know why you're making those choices for yourself. And then I wanted you to ask, how could this affect my personal growth and who I want to be tomorrow? That goes back to like the stages of life thing. If you are making choices today that aren't necessarily leading you towards your goals for yourself tomorrow, like what does that say for you, and how can you make better choices so that you can do better for yourself and your goals? So in conclusion, there are many reasons why people use substances, and I think Dr. Seiger in his book is trying to push towards the idea that natural highs can solve all of these reasons and that you don't need to turn to those things. And I also think it's important that we think about why we might make these choices to use substances and how we can make a change for the better. Hope everyone's having a good quarantine. I miss class. Bye, everyone.